Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In this one, I want to talk about the most important thing that I've learned in 2 years of entrepreneurship, or at least 2 years of really taking entrepreneurship seriously. What I've been able to do in 2 years takes some people 10 or 20 years, and I'm aware of that. And it's because of some of the things that I'll talk about in this video and some of the things that I think people don't really credit when they talk about their successes. I think they think it's more external than it is internal, and I want to really talk about that in this video. And then I also want to go over sort of my journey and what it's been like, and just very candidly share some of the things that I struggle with and some of the things that maybe other people, who are wanting to start off as an entrepreneur. I know I'm 20 years old now, and so I have a lot of people who are primarily younger watching this channel, and primarily the people who, see the lifestyle, they see money, and that's what attracts them. But I really want you to sort of challenge that and think a little bit more big picture here. And so in this video, we're going over primarily, what it means to step out and do something that is of value to you. Because for me, I went from, you can literally scroll back on my videos. You can scroll back down to who I was when I was starting this, and you can just look in my eyes and see a different person. And it was amazing because it's actually making me a little emotional talking about it, to be frank, but I look back at some of those videos and I can see in my eyes a different desire than what I have now. Now I'm a different person, and not just a different person like in sort of a cutesy way, but truly everything about me is different. And so if there's one thing that I've learned in 2 years of entrepreneurship, it's that we're not static beings, that we can change who we are and change how we view ourselves so we can become something. And the reason why this is such an important thing for me is because I grew up really insecure. I grew up super insecure, and today I put this video on my Instagram. I said, hey, I've been going to the gym, and I'm starting to see some really good results. I've been going to the gym for about 2 years, really. I'm starting to finally see some really good plateaus broken through. And if you go to the gym as well and you try to put on muscle weight, it can be really hard. And I'm a pretty small guy, so I weigh about 135. I'm about 5'9", probably, I'd say. And so I'm a really small guy, and so putting on muscle weight is just a big deal to me. I weighed 115 2 years ago, 115 freaking pounds. So I was really small, really insecure, really small, poor diet, poor everything. And now here I am, with a multiple 5-figure per month business. We actually just had a $4,000 day today, which is amazing. We've had multiple $10,000 days. We're working with clients that, we've helped them have their first $100,000 months. In the coaching side of things, where I help people start their own agency, I've now helped officially over 5 people become 6-figure earners, and I think 3 of those are multiple 5-figure per month. And then I have the course as well, which you could check out. The link is in the description if you want to start your own agency. And what's amazing about all of this is, me, who I was, could never do this. There was a big breakthrough for me, and I don't mind if these videos are a little weird feeling. I'll go grab the book. It's a book called As a Man Thinketh. If you haven't read it before, it's right here. I have it on my library right here. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. And this book talks about who you think you are becomes who you are, and who you are reinforces who you think you are. And there's this sort of this feedback loop. And look how tiny that book is. Tiny, tiny, tiny book. Probably 50 pages. And I reread this thing often. This is the only physical copy I've ever owned, and I have it, and I've kept it since I began my journey as an entrepreneur. And I got to tell you, this book, look how many notes I have taken in this thing. There's just, notes everywhere. But that's a fundamental book. And you'll run into a lot of, YouTube channels that don't talk about the behind the scenes, the mental. Because what I think a lot of entrepreneurs make it about is they make it about what comes of, not what is required in order for it to come of. They don't make it about the behind the scenes. They make it about flash. But what I've noticed is that there are some people that I've now connected with and that I've seen that they don't even have to try to flash, because they just walk around attracting it, and people see it no matter what. Sorry, this car honking. It's just one of the cons of living in the city now, because I actually grew up in a suburb, in the middle of nowhere, cornfields everywhere, and then all of a sudden you have this little neighborhood. That's Indiana for you. But gosh, anyway, let me get to the point of this video. I feel like we're 5 minutes in and I've said nothing. What I've learned in 2 years of being an entrepreneur is that you are not a static being, that you control who you are based on your thoughts, and that your thoughts can either tear you down to the point where you literally kill yourself, which is the end point of negative thoughts. Negative thought process leads to that end point. Or you can overcome everything and lead a beautiful, wonderful life. And the only mediator between those who create something good and end up somewhere very bad is their daily choices and the small things that they do every day that either reinforce positive thoughts or reinforce negative thoughts. It's a big part of why I got this apartment, was because I want to be someone that views myself as, I'm almost afraid to say I want to be, because I am someone who views myself, and I am someone who is a multi-7-figure entrepreneur. And the only thing that is keeping me from being at a 7-figure level is the state of my business. Instead of saying, I'm a 6-figure entrepreneur, I'm saying I'm a 7-figure entrepreneur, and I'm going to be there. And I can say that with 100% full confidence because I see the trajectory of my business. I see, having thought $1,000 day was a big deal to now having $10,000 days, right? I see, the types of clients that I've gone from working with, like small brick and mortar shops with my social media marketing agency, to now, working with these massive, huge scalability potential where we have them on like a 10% revenue share basis and they're doing like $100,000 a month, right? And seeing that ascension. So there's no doubt in my mind that I'll be a 7-figure entrepreneur in my early 20s. It's just trajectory. And some people may look at that and think it's cocky or it's arrogant, but I would challenge you, wherever it is that you judge someone else, it's always due to some sort of false belief in yourself. It's always due to something in yourself that you see that you don't like and you want to take it out on someone else. So if there's anything that has helped me the most, it's being able to look at other people's successes and not compare, but actually learn from them and see what they've been able to do that I could do tactically as well. So there's a lot of competitors in this space, in sort of the agency space, and I'm able to look at a lot of them. And when I was starting, I looked at them and was like, screw them. I want to take them out. Now I'm like, isn't it awesome that we have people around us that are doing this? And I could do it too if I just choose to. That's where I've gone to. And now whenever I see somebody else succeed, I celebrate for them and with them. And it's amazing because and then too, at the end of the day, there's enough money for everybody. Money isn't this pile that everybody can kind of grab at. And when somebody else has money, it means there's less for you. That's not how wealth works. Wealth is like a candle, and you can take your candle and light somebody else's. There's not less flame on one candle now. It spreads. It's not a finite thing. Wealth builds. If wealth were a finite thing, that would assume that at some point in human history, somebody printed a bunch of money, and then that was the amount of money, and then there was no more, no less ever. That's not how it's worked. Wealth has climbed consistently. As entrepreneurs have built more infrastructure and built more businesses, wealth climbs. And wealth is not this number. It's much more spiritual and much more in-depth than that. And it works on a level that we don't quite understand. And a lot of people think it's just money, but it's more than that. It's getting in return value for value that you bring. And those who bring the most value get the most value in return, and that value that they receive can be used to either bring value into their own lives or value into others or value back into their business or whatever it is that they're doing. So I'm kind of just spitballing here, but I think the core points of what I'm saying is, one, you are not a static being. You can change who you are, and I did because I was a scrawny, insecure, petty, poor habits individual with no real long-term outlook. I was really just trying to make money to prove people wrong. That was about it. I had some people in my social group that thought I was an idiot, and I just wanted to make them feel bad for calling me an idiot. And that was the end of the motivation. That was as far as it went. And I know a lot of people watching this feel that exact same motivation. There's nothing wrong with it. But what's interesting is that once you ascend and you actually get to a point where you've achieved that, you're going to look at that motivation and just kind of scoff at yourself and feel a little ashamed, because now you've built this thing. Because I went through this. I went through this, and I go through this sometimes, where I look at my business and I'm like, wow, I've built it, I've done it, I'm finally here. But then I have to think, okay, why did I do that? Did I do it to prove people wrong? Really? Seriously? I built this whole thing? So then I have to find a new motivation. And my motivation has shifted from proving previous people in my life wrong to becoming a man and becoming somebody that I'm incredibly proud of, and someone that can provide for people, and somebody of value to other people. And it's much less petty now, and I'm really proud of that. And what's amazing is that I actually make more money on the other side of that. I make far more money on the other side of, the egotistical thing. And you will too. I can guarantee it. If you remove those selfish motivations, you actually make more. You do more when you're less selfish. And there's this idea that goes around, like, you got to be selfish at first so that then later you can be, so I'm just checking, making sure the audio is still recording, so that later you can be unselfish. And I agree with that to an extent, but I don't think there's anything selfish about gaining money. I think in order to make money, you have to bring value to others, and the money that you make is always just going to be tiny, 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 tiny in proportion to the amount of money, to the amount of value that you bring. Like, for example, I was a wedding photographer, and you got to think, like, how much would a couple in their 80s sell their wedding photos for? Like, it would cost them millions of dollars if somebody were to offer them money, but yet I'm out there shooting it for $2,000. And you think about my marketing agency, or like maybe my course, for example. The course right now as it is costs about $1,000 because it's unfinished. It will be $2,000 soon. So, by the way, if you want to get into it now so you can get a massive discount. But let's say somebody takes that information, grows an agency, and is a 6-figure earner, and I only get $1,000 of that. That's what the frick? Like, I should be charging $10,000-$20,000 for this thing. That's what colleges do. They charge you freaking $40,000 for an education that is subpar, and then you're in debt and you can't file bankruptcy, and then not only that, but it's an institution, so they can't actually be taxed on that money. So there's some capitalists at the top of that making a lot of money off of very little amounts of value, and that's a whole other tangent. But that being said, you must understand that money is just this tiny sort of thank you note in return for value that you bring. And once you view it as a mutually beneficial exchange and no longer you taking something from someone, that's when you begin to sort of realize, okay, wow, like there is a lot of potential. There's potential for anybody and everybody to make as much as they want to make. And not that money is the only reason to live. It's really not for me. Frankly, I'd be happy on $2,000 or $3,000 a month. Like, my family, my lineage here, my grandpa and I, we go hunting, and he probably makes about $4,000 a month just off of retirement savings and investments and stuff. And we're best of friends, and there's no line in the sand between us. Money doesn't change people. It doesn't make people more or less. It just kind of reveals who you are. And if you're not good with your money, you're going to be probably not good with other things in your life as well. And so really it's this core shift, not just making money. It's you have to shift who you are as a person. And that's one of the big things I learned as well. And so, yeah, I feel like I've just rambled. I think this video will probably be valuable and I wanted to intentionally make this video a little bit of a ramble, because I feel like when I'm rambling and just kind of going on, there's some people that look at the way that I think and really value the way that I think, and I appreciate that. I'm honored by that, and so I want to kind of just put thoughts out there for people to enjoy, and not that my thoughts are any greater, but more so just that I have built something that people value, and I think people like to see how I think in order to build it for themselves. And so, that being said, my most important lesson was that I'm not a static being, that I can change who I am, and then also viewing money properly. And then removing limiting beliefs about myself, because I think what's interesting is I look back at all my failed businesses, and there was nothing wrong with the business. I can look back now objectively as a pretty successful entrepreneur and look back at the businesses that I'd started that didn't work out, and I can see in them massive potential, but it was just my fault that it didn't work out. So a lot of people look at their business and they say, oh, this business is the problem, this niche, this industry, this blah, 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 this is the problem. And what's awesome is that even if you are in an industry that is failing, you can change what industry you're in. Welcome to the world of no excuses, right? Or if you have a agency where you can't seem to get clients that are worth more than $2,000 a month, other people are doing it, and there's nothing different about them to you. So what's going on there, man? There's some mental thing going on for you. You need to address that, right? So there's really no end excuse. And I don't really follow Gary Vee very closely. I think Gary Vaynerchuk is this really popular entrepreneur. If you don't follow him, that's totally okay. He's got some good stuff. He's got some bad stuff. I'm pretty neutral on him. But one thing that I really like that he says is, look, if you're complaining, then you're the problem. But otherwise, there's nothing wrong. It doesn't matter where you're at. It more so matters how you view where you're at. And what's interesting is that if you want to be somewhere better, you have to first recognize where you're at and be grateful for it. And then where you'd like to be comes much easier. It's no longer this massive mental battle of trying to leave this perceived prison. It's more so just a natural next step. And this book talks a lot about that, by the way. As a Man Thinketh. You need to read this book. I'll probably leave a link in the description. Check it out. It's on Amazon. Read it. Let me know what you think. Anyway, I have a lot of work I have to do today. I've actually got, I think, like 4 sales calls today. I already had one. We closed them on a $3,000 upfront payment, which is pretty great. That's part of why we're having a $4,000 day. We had another $1,000 payment come through. And then I have another $2,000 payment rolling in from a client that was supposed to pay last week, but ended up wanting to pay this week because of various reasons. We actually couldn't charge them because they're based out of China. So that was interesting. But that being said, I have a lot of work I want to get back to. Hopefully this video was valuable to you. I know it was a total ramble. I'm probably going to get some dislikes and people saying, Trey, you're just putting this out just to make content just because you got to make content. And yeah, there's absolutely definitely some truth to that. But more than anything, it's just wanting to make YouTube more of like a place for my thoughts to go, as well as a place for educational content, as well as a place for like testimonials of clients that I've worked with, and merging all those fields seamlessly. I'm trying to be more intentional with my YouTube. I'm actually launching some YouTube pre-roll advertisements to grow the channel. And so if you're new to the channel and you've come from one of those ads, hello, my name is Trey. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the channel. That's about it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe. Be sure to check out the online paid program called 6-Figure Marketing Consultant. The link is in the description. $1,000 right now. It will be about $2,000, probably about a month from now when I'm finished up with the entirety of the program. It's got 50 hours of recorded coaching calls from real students that have helped grow their 6-figure agencies. It's got walkthroughs of how I manage my entire agency, how I attract clients onto my calendar so I can sell them my services instead of trying to do this cold outreach bullcrap. And how I actually manage the back end, how I structure my team, what types of packages we sell. Everything that you need is in this program. When you buy the program, you're basically removing all excuses. So if you're the kind of guy who likes looking at your life and saying, why am I not where I am? I have no excuses. This course is going to do that to you. It's going to be a wake-up call and actually force you to do the freaking work. Otherwise, you're basically just a lazy bum. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.